Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Confidence Connection Show, where we share women's stories of confidence from all around the world to empower you to build your confidence too. So this week, I'm joined by two lovely guests. We have Patricia on screen and Zoe, who will be joining us soon. They join us both from Australia and Patricia's from Canada. So very excited to have you both on. So Patricia is a female tech entrepreneur, founder, and creator of the Homeowner Link. This app, the first of its kind, allows both realtor and home stager to systemize and scale the staging and listing process while securing more business. So she used to be a home stager, but now she's transitioned into the world of tech. Following a dream, she's immersed herself in the world of technology and is seen as a female tech leader in the eyes of budding entrepreneurs. As an inspiration to many, Patricia helps mentor and inspire female tech startups and other entrepreneurs in their quest for success. Through her growth in the tech industry, she's been mentored by many startup companies valued at 8 and 9 figures, and has worked with top 7-figure real estate and marketing coaches, and has had numerous conversations with top real estate agents across the inspiring and empowering startup entrepreneurs, specifically mothers, to achieve their goals and dreams regardless of their circumstances. So welcome, Patricia. Thank you so much for joining us today. And do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background and how you got to be where you are today?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate being here. I mean, that bio is amazing. So that really kind of summed up my life. But a little bit more about me. First and foremost, I'm a mom to 3 boys, and they're my inspiration behind everything I do. So I have 3 boys under the age of 6, and it's wonderful. And they, like I said, they're the inspiration why I started business and entrepreneurship to begin with, and why I continue to develop in the entrepreneurship space. So I started entrepreneurship after my first was born, and it really just transformed my life in terms of viewing my life differently. I wasn't in the corporate world anymore, so I was like able to view my life completely different way. And that kind of just snowballed into what I'm doing today in the tech world. So I started in home staging, as you mentioned, and it was wonderful for that period of time in my life. I just felt like something was missing, that it could have been done a different way. And I'm an innovator at heart. I'm always looking for new ways to develop and grow things. So it kind of just snowballed into creating an app. I wanted to create some sort of online platform. I created an online platform that completely failed. And then I just kind of kept going at it little bit by little bit by little bit. And over the last 6 years, I've been able to really develop this robust app that just hit the market actually the last couple of months. So I'm really excited to share that with the world. And I really want to, one of my main goals in life is to just really show people that they can do something if they put their mind to it, and look for those resources and be open to them. Yeah.
Awesome. So the app's only been open for a few months.
Yeah, I mean, we did
so
launch we launched a beta launch and had to fix some things. So then we had to go back and change it, as a lot of tech companies do. So, yeah, a lot of tech companies do. I think there's a little bit, so I apologize if I'm speaking over you. But yeah, so it's back on the market now, and it's ready to get used. So that's where we are.
Awesome. And you have another business, is that right? More in the coaching sort of?
Yeah, so I started PSA Company as a way to give back to other entrepreneurs, to be able to help and inspire them based on what my journey is. It's kind of very much in the startup phase. I've been helping a few people with just changing their mindset surrounding certain things that are going on in their lives, and helping them to really grow into entrepreneurs or individuals who they choose to be. So, and that's more of a startup, but that ultimate goal, like I said, one of my biggest goals is to help inspire and empower other female entrepreneurs. And that is what PSA Company will be doing and is doing currently. So it's kind of a passion project on the side. I enjoy learning like NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and things like that. So I like to use those modalities in order to help other people change their subconscious mind to be able to move forward and to achieve what they set out to achieve in life.
Cool. I love that. It's always good to have a passion project going.
Yeah.
So what makes your startup different to traditional startups?
Yeah, I mean, I pride myself on being the untraditional startup just because like everything that I've done is like when you think of a traditional startup, you think of personally, I think of a male between the ages of like 20 to 35 who like out of the garage and they like have all this funding to start off with, and they're working 80 hours a week, and I do the complete opposite. Like I said at the beginning, I have 3 kids under the age of 6. So my priority is my family. My priority is taking care of them. And I am the primary caregiver for them. So I pride myself in being their main source of that they can come to, and that I'm always giving to them. So that being said, my 80-hour work week is barely 20 hours. So I work what I can work on when I can do it. And that's something I've had to learn over the last several years, is I can do what I can do when I can do it. And so that's the biggest thing that makes me different, I would say. The other thing is that I so far have created and funded this app by myself. So I have no outside funding.
Awesome.
I'm doing things so differently than your traditional startup would entail. Like I've contracted people out instead of bringing them on as investors or whatever. So there's just a bunch of different things that I do differently than your traditional startup, which is really exciting. In that, like, I think it's amazing as a female to be able to step into this space as a mother, as a female, and being the age that I am, to create something that isn't typically created by someone who you would think is like who I am as a like young mom or whatever. And I love just changing the perspective of people's minds and how it can achieve it. So that's how I'm a little bit different than your traditional startup, and I love it. I really pride myself in that, actually.
Awesome. I love that. I love that too, that you're different to the norm, because we're all about going against the status quo, and it is good to see female mum, getting it done and being an inspiration to others. So how has fear tried to hold you back along the way, and how have you overcome it on your journey?
Oh man, like that's a big question. Fear like literally creeps up every single moment in every single facet. So I feel like over the last several years through this journey, there's been so many times that I wanted to give up. And that was because I was feared. Like I had a whole bunch of fear of like, what if I didn't do this? Or what happens if I don't succeed? Or what happens if it fails? Or what happens if I put this out and it just like, doesn't work the way I wanted to? So, I mean, fear is something that I'm constantly battling. But over the years, I've realized that I lean toward it a little bit more, because when I'm feeling fearful, I realize that there's a reason for it, and it's because I'm uncomfortable. And if it makes me uncomfortable, it means I'm growing. So that's a process that I've had to learn. Whereas before I would like really run away from fear. Whereas now it's like, okay, no, I lean toward that fear. I'm scared of what's on the other side. I'm fearful of what's on the other side, but I know that I need to take that leap in order to achieve my goals, or grow as a person, or grow as a CEO, or this owner of this company that it's supposed to benefit so many people. So I need to lean toward that fear in order to be that person. And I would say as a result of that, it's really subsided. My fear has really subsided, because I don't look at it as I am feared. Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. I look at it as, hey, there's another opportunity here. What is it? Let's take a look. So I think it's just a different frame of mind now as well, how things have changed.
That's such a great way of putting it. And it's like your biggest growth is always on the other side of fear. No one ever grew staying inside their comfort zone.
No, I know. It's amazing. It's amazing how much someone can grow on the other side of fear.
Yeah. And what makes your business different to what else is out there?
I mean, so let's talk about the app, because that specifically, like there's nothing like that on the market. When I created it from a place of, I was a home stager. I was a new home stager. I wanted to create something that would benefit someone kind of in my realm, like someone who would not necessarily be able to go and meet real estate agents or go and meet and make relationships, but also still wanted to have an occupation, an entrepreneurship, or a business. So, so that kind of, as a result of that, I was able to, sorry, can you repeat the question? I want to make sure that I'm responding to this correctly.
It's just, What makes your business different to what else is out there?
Right. Okay, so as a result of that, I created something that's not even on the market. So I've done so much
Awesome.
research. Yeah, so I've done so much research. There's things that are similar that can help, but there's no actual app that lets the two industries speak together. And I think that's what makes mine so special is that it actually allows the two industries, especially in North America. And I know you have staging in real estate in Australia and across the world as well, because we are looking at
Yeah.
those markets. Um,
Yeah.
and it really allows those two industries to speak together. Whereas it always was, oh, like you'd have to reach out by email, by phone, or everything had to happen by like you're waiting on a credit card or you're waiting for an e-transfer or cash payment. So the special thing about this app is that everything happens in one place. You can message them, you can email them, you can get your PDF, you can get your invoices. There's so much stuff that happens in this app that allows just a kind of like a one-stop place for real estate agents to go to get staging, but also for stagers to go to get business. So there's nothing like that on the market, which makes it so unique and so special.
That is awesome. Sounds like a very powerful tool. So hopefully
Yeah,
it takes off for you. So
it
what
will.
advice would you give to someone that has an idea for a business or an app but doesn't know where to start?
Um, I would say just write down what you my biggest thing would is write down your core values. What are your values? That's what's kind of really pushed me forward in my business is I wrote down my core values and then I've tailored my business around my core values. So
Awesome.
like my main core value is family. And anyone who speaks to me knows that like, you know, my family is like the most important thing and everything I do is for them and everything is like tailored around what this family unit is for me. So I've created my business structure around that. And I think that's important when someone's wanting to start a business or wanting to start an app or anything is like, I made my company work around me and I didn't make
Yeah.
me work around my company. So I think that's a really important takeaway for some people is just like really ensure that you're working like according to your own value system.
Yeah. No, I can definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Work should come around life. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm going to talk to Zoe now, and then I'll bring you on at the end to talk some more about confidence.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Hello, Zoe.
Hi.
So, welcome. So, Zoe is a writer with a passion for making a difference. As an experienced journalist, she's been published hundreds of times around the globe, including News.com, Daily Mail, Kidspot, Mamamia, and the Sydney Morning Herald, and the New York Post, and That's Life and New Idea magazine. So, well published. She knows how to captivate audiences through the raw power of storytelling. At the age of 24, Zoe began building her copywriting and editing business, where she now works full-time, helping businesses small and large to find their perfect words. When not running her business, Zoe can be found writing poems and working on her first book about her hometown survival in the Black Summer bushfires. So, welcome. Do you want to tell us a bit more about yourself and your background and how you got to be where you are today?
Sure, and thank you so much for having me. So I have always loved writing. I've always loved words and their power. I remember being in kindergarten and penning these stories for my teachers and fellow students and just falling in love with how you could just create these worlds and these emotions just with words. So growing up, I wanted to be an author, but I realized that that's probably not a good first career attempt. So I thought journalism might be a little bit easier. I did some work experience at my local paper at 16 and I fell in love with it and actually found that I was rather good at it. So I kept pursuing it. I did a Bachelor of Journalism at the University of Wollongong. I was in the top 15% of my degree. I did so many internships. I worked with places like Mamamia, the Cancer Council, and just fell in love with what words can convey and how they can just be so beautiful and they can just help convey these emotions and really make a difference in the world, or at least to someone's world. And I just wanted to be a part of that. After uni, I dabbled briefly in social media, the Daily Mail. I started freelancing for all these places and just trying to get published anywhere I could. I wrote a lot about mental health to begin with, and then eventually things like chronic pain and disability, but basically just anyone who needed their voices shared and things that I think mattered, whether or not it was, just helping someone to feel like they were heard or seen, or, trying to write things that can create real change. And hopefully, eventually I worked for a little bit in strategic communications in forensic mental health. And July last year, I actually took the leap into my business. And yeah, on the side of writing and my business, I do speaking a little bit, and I'm also writing a book. So I guess, yeah, a fair few different things, all creative.
Yeah, very exciting. That's so awesome and so multi-talented. So tell us about your transition into self-employed and why you made that move.
Well, I think I'd always kind of liked the idea of being a business owner, but I was so terrified that I would be ruining my career at the age of 24. I'd be like, oh no, what if no one hires me ever again? And I just completely ruined my career and my life. But I really wanted to back myself. And I also started experiencing chronic pain and chronic fatigue and a host of other really not so great symptoms. And I noticed that I just couldn't do the hustle anymore, the 9 to 5. And actually I wasn't even doing 9 to 5 because I was doing my business on top of that. So it was more like 17-hour days, and doing that with chronic fatigue was just awful. I couldn't do it. I began to burn out, especially I'd just come back from my town survival in the Black Summer bushfires here in Australia, and it's a pandemic, and just that combined, as well as my health significantly declining, I just couldn't do it anymore. I wanted to back my own skills and look after my health, and I didn't want to have to beg for workplace accessibility. I didn't want to have to beg to continue to work from home in ways that worked best for me. And I just felt like I wasn't able to help as many people as I could if I jumped into my business. So I started building a copywriting and editing business part-time while I was working. I mean, I'd been freelancing since I think 2015 or 2016 for news outlets, but it wasn't until I discovered that I could actually make a business from SEO copywriting and editing that I began to think, I could actually do this. I could do journalism and my copywriting and my editing and find all these other creative ways to actually make this work. So finally, I decided to take the leap, even though it was so scary.
Yeah. That's exciting. Well, good on you for taking that leap and making it work for you. And it sounds like, similar themes between you and Patricia about making, work fit around life rather than, life fitting around work, which I think is so important. So
Absolutely.
With your journalist career, what's been your most radical journalist experience?
Definitely living through the Black Summer bushfires. For those of you that may not be familiar, in 2019, 2020, Australia's pretty much all of Australia, but I was on the south coast, and everything was just on fire. I wasn't intending on working when I went back to my hometown of Batemans Bay on the New South Wales south coast, but I woke up that morning to the fire on our doorsteps, to all this limited information. There was no power, mostly no reception, and all like there's this app called Fires Near Me that is supposed to give you information on fires near you, and it was just severely outdated, so no one knew what was happening. So I thought, well, I can't fight fires, so I'm going to try and do whatever I can to help my community, and that was share information and share what I saw. I went to the evacuation center and shared what was safe and what I could see with my own eyes and what the firefighters had been telling us, and I shared videos and had all these messages from these people wondering, I haven't heard from my loved one. Is this safe? Is this safe? And I was actually able to, I guess, calm people in a really, really terrifying situation. And I even did a live cross to the BBC. I was on the radio, and eventually I wrote articles. One of actually which I wrote in the bushfires. My laptop had 20 minutes of charge left, and so I wrote down an article by hand of what we were experiencing, typed up on the last 20 minutes of charge as fast as I could, 1,000 words on my laptop. Had to drive into town where there was reception, hot-swatted my phone to send this article to the editor about what was actually happening, because news outlets couldn't actually get into where we were. Fire had blocked everything. So I just wanted to share what we were actually experiencing and how terrifying and how scary it was, and that we needed help, and that we still do need help. But I actually started writing a story about it because I realized there's no way that 1,000-word articles can convey all of our experiences, all our trauma. It's just the stories are just absolutely wild. An elderly man that defended his property with like a converted fire truck, and then had fireballs the size of semi-trailers raining down his property, and ended up hiding in a cool room against these blazes. Or like, someone that lived in suburbia that woke up to the fire like right there burning down their house. So I just didn't want this history to be forgotten.
No, fair enough. That's some incredible work, and like I said, quite important to document it all so that the stories can be shared and you can learn from it, for future fires, because they do happen. And what advice would you give to someone trying to work with chronic pain and mental health issues?
I think the most important thing is to listen to your body. And if it all feels too much, if you feel tired or exhausted, or you just need to rest, it's okay to rest. I think rest and self-care and putting yourself first, and the work will be there later. Anything will be there later. You are the priority, and self-care is the first thing to go when you don't feel well, but it's actually the cornerstone of resilience. And I don't just mean like, bubble baths and face masks. Well, those are nice. I mean things like, making sure you drink water, having medication if you need it, just doing the things that fill your cup. And if you need to take a break, that's okay. Most people, I think, are pretty understanding, especially when you have pretty wild health issues. And for me, a godsend has actually been allowing help from others, and subcontracting to other people. So, if I'm too tired to write a first draft myself, I can get someone to help do the research, for example. And then, you need to find ways that work for you, that make things easy, and that if it's different from how it looks for other people, that's okay. If you can't work 9 till 5, that's totally okay. If you can only get random bursts of work in the night, or, whenever, if you can only get 1 hour of work a day, or 10 minutes, even if you can't get anything done, that's okay. You just have to be gentle with yourself and kind to yourself, and rest, because it is hard being disabled. So, pat yourself on the back. It's hard just existing with that stuff. So just be kind and rest.
No, for sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and what you're all about and how you got to be where you are today. So we're going to welcome back Patricia and go over the confidence questions and talk some more about that we ask our guests every week here. So welcome back, Patricia. Hi. So I'm going to start with you. So I'll ask the question, I'll get you both to answer it. So I'll ask you first, Patricia. What does confidence mean to you?
I think confidence for me really just is how you are as a person. Like it's what you put out. It's what your energy is. Everything that's your energy that you're putting out to people, your energy of how you're showing up, your energy of how you go at tasks, of how you perceive challenges, of how you celebrate accomplishments. I think there's not one thing that can really describe what confidence is. I think it's just a bunch of different things that can make up that feeling of confidence, or being that confident person, or having that confidence in what you're doing and who you are.
Yeah, great answer. And what about you, Zoe? What does confidence mean to you?
Confidence is one of those things that's always just frustrated and terrified me, and I've always rather struggled with it, and like, oh, what is confidence? How do you even be confident? But for me, I think it's just backing yourself even when you're afraid, and that it's okay to be afraid. You just have to keep going and keep putting one foot in front of the other. I guess fake it till you make it type thing.
Yeah, no, great answers. And it's definitely, trusting in yourself that you'll figure it out in the end, which is so true. So, Patricia, how do you help people build their confidence through the work that you do?
So one of the main ways that I help people build confidence, I have the ability to have people working with me, and I get the ability to be able to help them through their challenges. So I have a really great intuition, I would say, and being able to help people, asking them the right questions. I ask questions to help build their confidence. I support them. I give them opportunities to help them. So for instance, I was working with this one person, and she, had some challenges with self-love, and that's a challenge that a lot of people have. And we started off small, like write some sticky notes on your computer every single day. Like, how does that make you feel? And within a week, I could see the difference from her writing just those sticky notes to the following week. You can see that self-love really start to develop within her. So small little challenges that we overcome with the small little habits. And I think that's how you can help someone, or how I help someone build their confidence. Really showing people what they're capable of and supporting them and being their cheerleader when no one else is there as well.
Yeah, awesome. And what about you, Zoe? How do you help people build their confidence through the work that you do?
Well, I think for me, a lot of my work is helping people to tell their own stories. And often people, it's so hard to toot your own horn, and it's so hard to highlight all the great things about yourself. It feels so uncomfortable. So I guess, my skills as a journalist, I can help interview people and figure out, what are the things that make you great. And that's a lot of the time it's business owners. So I guess helping show why you are the best person to go to for whatever you might be selling or doing, and just helping them really shine and do that in a way that feels authentic to them. So I think that really does help, having just, your story written professionally. It can go a long way.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Patricia, what would you say to someone that's wanting to build their confidence but doesn't know where to start?
I think the first step to building confidence is to learn to trust yourself and trust your instincts and trust your intuition. And I think that everything else will fall into place once you start trusting yourself. So that's where I would have anybody start, is listening to that voice inside your head.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what about you, Zoe? What would you say to someone wanting to build their confidence?
I mean, it's so hard to build confidence. So firstly, that I understand how hard it is. I think it's, a lot of the time, the things that we tend to put ourselves down, and, we might have these little voices in our heads and say, oh, you can't do that or whatever, but question it, be like, hey, why? I think we can do this despite the fear, despite anxiety, despite any other potential barriers. And something that really helps me is to, think of a situation how someone that loves you would, because sometimes when it's yourself, you can't step back and, really see. But if you think, oh, that's how, oh, my mum would think of me this way, it's like, oh, I am being quite harsh to myself, and just be kind. And, even if you're afraid, that there is something inside of you that can really make a difference if you just trust that little voice that says, hey, maybe I can do it.
Yeah. No, definitely. And Patricia, what's something you know now that you wish you knew when you were younger?
Something I know now that I wish I knew when I was younger. That I'm not going to have all the answers, that the answers will come to me as they're supposed to be coming to me, and that I need to trust the journey and trust the process.
That is powerful. I love that. Great answer. And what about you, Zoe?
I just I look back, and having lived with a mental illness and things like chronic pain and so on, I have spent a lot of my life punishing myself for things that I really didn't need to. And I just wish past me could have seen how brilliant I was I mean, I don't know if it might send up yourself, but I think everyone is amazing. And if we could just see that part of ourselves without putting ourselves down all the time, that would be great. Also, I wish I could just tell people to get stuffed a bit more. Just, back yourself and like, no, I don't need your opinion. Thank you.
And that takes confidence to be able to say that for sure. And so, Patricia, what's the best advice you've been given or your favorite quote?
Best advice I've been given, or my favorite quote. I have one here actually. It's from Robin Sharma, and he's one of my favorite person to listen to. One of my favorite people to listen to. Let's use proper grammar. And it's tap into your genius. So he's always talking about being genius and how to tap into it and the different ways to tap into it. So tap into your genius. And I have a sticky note here that says tap into your genius, just a reminder every single day. Tap into it, tap into it, tap into it. So I think that's my biggest lesson, biggest quote that I love.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. And what about you, Zoe?
Oh, just want to say I love that quote. That's awesome. One of my favorite ones, and I think that's it just revolutionized my life when I heard it. I think back when I was 13 or something. It's by Dr. Seuss. Be who you are and say who you feel, because those who matter don't mind and those who mind don't matter. And that just blew my mind. Like, wait, I can just be myself. And, if people don't like it, that's okay. I think realizing that and accepting that was just this huge lesson, even so long ago now, that still it stays with me today. And everyone's not going to like you, and that's okay. Some people will, and that's who you do it for.
Yeah, I love that. I love when you can remember something from that, when you were that young, that really it's impactful and stays with you, and that's really cool. You came across that so early and you still remember it. So Patricia, do you have any favorite books or podcasts in terms of, helping you grow and build your confidence or your mindset?
Oh my gosh, I have like a laundry list of this, so long. I would say my favorite podcast that I listen to is the Robin Sharma podcast and the School of Greatness podcast by Lewis House. Those are two really amazing podcasts that I just listen to all the time. So those are the main two podcasts. I mean, books, I'm surrounded by them, but Limitless by Jim Quick is an amazing one. Atomic Habits. I can't remember the author for that one for some reason. It's skipping my mind. And I'm just looking at my list here, but I think those would be my favorite ones that I've ever read.
Great recommendations.
Yeah.
And what about you, Zoe?
I haven't actually read that many personal development type books. I'm more of a fantasy type reader, but one that I think has really helped me has been I recently read Growing Up Disabled, which is a collection of stories by disabled writers, edited by Carly Finley here in Australia. And it was just so interesting to hear about different perspectives. And I feel like learning about disability and the barriers that people face and how you can dismantle some of those systems just blew my mind and made me want to really go further down that hole of accessibility and demanding it, really.
That sounds like a really interesting read, and I think it is powerful. It helps grow your understanding and awareness and empathy for other people, right? So Patricia, do you have any favorite people you like to follow online in terms of, brightening up your newsfeed, make it a more positive space?
Let me think. I love following different coaches and things like that. So I have a big following of I follow different coaches just for their sorry, my son is coming in here. I don't know, just the podcast, like I said, Robin Sharma, Lewis House, those are the ones that I love following. Any of kind of the gurus. I like Gabrielle Bernstein. I like following her online. She has really good spiritual stuff. And I think that's pretty much it that I can come up with the top of my head. Yeah.
And what about you, Zoe? Do you have any people you like to brighten up your newsfeed with?
I actually I follow a lot of disability advocates that I just love. Tara Moss. I absolutely love her mobility aid posts and raising awareness about accessibility issues. But Carly Finley as well has so many posts about accessibility and just supporting so many young writers online and content creators of all kinds. And I really learn a lot. And I also just love the bright colors of everything she posts, and just kindness and supporting people without any reason, just supporting people because people should be supported. I love that. I also follow people like Kate Toon and Beck Lambert. I love Beck Lambert's mental health stuff she does. She posts a lot of stuff about stigma and managing a freelance business and your health. So I really like those people that just tell it how it is, especially when it comes to health and disability.
Awesome. Great recommendations. And now, Patricia, where can people find you or connect with you online if they want to know more about what you do?
Yeah, so my main website is www.thehomeownerlink.com. I'm available in the App Store and Google Play Store, so you just have to type the Homeowner Link if you're interested in looking at the app or downloading the app. I'm also on Instagram, the _homeowner_link. And I think those would be the best ways to check that out. I also have www.psacompany.ca. And that's where you can look at the coaching and stuff that I do to help other people with the NLP, neuro-linguistic programming and stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool. And of course, your links will be in the show notes so people can click it directly down there as well. So how about you, Zoe? Where can people find and connect with you online?
Well, I mean, if you want to find any of my articles, generally just Googling Zoe Simmons journalist tends to bring things up. But I do have my website, which is www.zoesimmons.com.au. I'm on Facebook, which I think it's something like Zoe Simmons journalist, editor, copywriter, and author or something. Googling those should bring it up, hopefully, but it's also on my website. I am at something beginning with Z on Instagram. I am at something, It Begins with Z on Twitter, and I'm also on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Awesome. And again, that will all be in the show notes. Well, thank you both for sharing and joining me. This morning for me. I know it's afternoon for you, Patricia. Do you have any final words you want to share or anything that you haven't said yet that you wanted to before we go, Patricia?
I think if you're looking for entrepreneurship advice or wanting to take a leap into changing your life, my only suggestion would be to just do it. I mean, you only live once and you're only this person once. So just do what your intuition is telling you to do and follow it and follow those leads. I think that's the best advice anyone has ever given me, and I'd love to pass that on.
Yeah, brilliant advice. And how about you, Zoe? Are there any final words you want to share before we go?
Oh, absolutely agree with just taking the leap if you can. But I think just back yourself. The world is an often difficult place to be with, so don't make it harder on yourself than it needs to. And confidence is tricky, but you get good at things by doing them. And even if it's uncomfortable, you just keep doing it.
Yeah. No, brilliant advice, brilliant final words, and thank you both for sharing your stories this morning. I love that they're kind of similar, your stories of how you've come to be self-employed and working for yourself and following your dreams. So hopefully our viewers take something away from there. And if you've been watching, thank you so much, and we'll see you on next week's show. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.